Hello everyone, and welcome back to 4KB Shorts Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program with Kerbal Space Adventures. Last time we attempted to land a rover on Ike, which we did, and we were able to find or scout a location that was fairly decent for a new base because the one that we had originally planned for the Xavier is unfortunately not working. Now, because of that, I came over here to the Xavier to take a look at this launch platform to maybe, stack it to a hitchhiker and kind of, float it out there. But unfortunately, as it turns out, the way I designed this is permanently attached to these, which makes it non-functional as a landing device. It can't land. It would just fall over and it wouldn't work for us. And so because of that, this is no longer a functional thing. Since it won't work for anything except on a station, and since it won't work on a station because it's not designed that way, the mod's not designed that way, I decided that it's time to do a little bit of station keeping and have some extra bits of the Xavier here removed. And I think that's going to include both the launch pad as well as the two hitchhiker units. Because although they could be helpful in the future, if we have a base on Ike and then from that base we can land stuff on Duna, we really don't need the hitchhikers just hanging out here in space. So you could kind of consider it a waste of fuel and metal and whatnot, but in all honesty, they're not really that important. So, and we can have them replaced. So the only thing that we'll really be missing is these rocket parts, but since they came with the canisters, that's not that big of a loss. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and undock, just like so, and then switch over. Now we don't have mech jeb or anything on here, so what we have to do is we just have to take a look. And I think, yeah, the engines are pointed that way, so we should be able to just stage up, there you go, activate the engines, right? Alright, and just thrust out a little bit. Okay, so it's apparently very heavy, but we're going to thrust away just a teeny tiny bit, or maybe a little bit more. That's not even very, that's a very teeny tiny bit of thrust anyway. Alright. And then we're going to attempt to roll and deorbit, I think is what we're going to do. And I just want to make sure we're pointed in the right direction, so we want to control from here, right? Ah, okay. So we were apparently controlling from the wrong direction. So we should be orbiting this way, so this should be correct when it comes to burninating our engines. Whoa, don't know why she's so heavy. So I should be able to do this and have our orbit just go down, right? Yep. Okay, so our orbital velocity is decreasing. We can just throttle it up. Do we have a torque on here? Looks like we don't, not really, but that's okay. So this is just gonna go, and it's just gonna go to the dirt because we're just gonna crash it into Duna because there's really no reason to keep it, or to keep it safe, or to keep it in one piece. We could try to like break this stuff off or smash it into the dirt in order to get it to work, but that's just a lot of work for not very much payoff, you know? So we're going to let this burn up. Well, it's not really going to burn up in the atmosphere. It is going to crash into the dirt rather hard, but I think we'll just let the game delete it instead, so we're going to do that. So that should have been deorbital velocity, but we'll just keep burning. I mean, we'll not burn full throttle or anything, I don't think. Wow. Still really low on the frame rate because of all the parts on the Xavier. But that's okay. That's okay. We will get to that in just a moment. But first we want to do this. Now, normally I show the full deorbit and crash, but there's a lot of other stuff we want to do on this video, of course, which includes getting more parts of the base out here. And I think the first thing we're going to bring, once again, is going to be a launch pad. And if we can, we may bring a launch pad as well as other parts, but it really depends. The launch pad may have to come out on its own because of this whole landing base here, which can't have anything on it, such as docking clamps and things like that. So, wow, this thing really is heavy. Alright, now we should, I guess 200 meters less a second. I guess I could just go to the map. Let's go to the map and look. Oh yeah, that's that's definitely going to work. So we will let that slide off, and we're just going to switch over to the Xavier, and I think we will submit the hitchhikers to the same fate because at this moment they're just taking up a lot of rendering power and not providing much aid to the station. Now, I will say, this is really cool, I will say that the station was able to generate a ton of science, pardon me. The station was able to generate a ton of science while we were away, which is super bonus. And I don't know why I suddenly just almost lost my voice, but it decided that it didn't want to hang out anymore. It's like, I'm done, I'm leaving. Oh yeah, our frame rate has gone up a little bit. So let's go ahead and ditch this little guy. So we will decouple node. Boom. Okay, that means we're going to switch. Now we should have enough fuel in here. Yeah, we do. Okay, we do. Ah, but we also have RCS. Ha ha ha. And for RCS, we want to go to docking mode, just because, and we want to, yes, thrust away. Oh, that's so much better. Yeah, it looks like the RCS is able to move this better than the other ship was, but our frame rate is going way up because we're reducing the number of parts we have, which is super, 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 super awesome. We also want to spin. We want to control from here. Control from here. And then we want to spin around. And then once again, we're just going to deorbit or throttle down or whatever, and send this one to the surface of Duna to do some facial reconstruction on the planet, which would be really, really interesting if they did add in the future some form of terrain restructuring, like craters and stuff. But I don't know how that would work, nor would I want a reference to every crash I've ever had. I'm sure you guys wouldn't either. KSC would be littered, I tell you, with debris from all the wreckages and whatnot that failed attempts and such and things. Okay, so this is moving much faster, but that may also be because our frame rate is now much higher. So there goes number 2. Now that deorbit. Now we probably don't have to go back down to 600 meters per second, but we'll drop it down to 800 meters per second and then check it from there, and hopefully that'll work for us. And that way we don't have to worry about this nuclear engine taking so long. Alright. So 800, yeah, we'll check the map. Oh yeah, that's definitely good enough. So let's go ahead and exit the map. Alright. And kill the engine. Just boop, kill the engine. Alright, perfect. And then we will go back to the map, and then we will switch back to the other ship. And that will be the Xavier, of course, once more. So there goes the probe. We want to switch to the Xavier. Oh, did it switch already? Zoop. Oh, it did. Wow, it switches much faster now. Oh yeah, our frame rate's gone way up, way up. Alright, one last ship to go. I think we have enough fuel left in her. Oh, we do. Lots of fuel, but that fuel's got to go. I don't think anything else here takes fuel, so because of that, none of this takes oxygen, so because of that, we're just going to go ahead and, no, we want to undock. Undock. Here it is. Undock. Bloop. And we want to go back to here. Not you. Not you. You. Okay. I think we have some RCS left in here too. We have a lot of fuel left, so can we... Yep, okay, so we have some RCS left in here. So we're going to just take this off of here. And again, we're going to spin around and then slow it down, because that is how we roll. That's the wrong way, though. Let's go the other way. We don't have to worry about saving any of our 317 units of monopropellant, because we are, in fact, just going to burn it into the atmosphere and crash down. So let's do that. And there goes the Xavier. Bye-bye, Xavier. I'm glad your frame rate has increased. Now, and of course, then again, that gives us a few more places to put extra stuff. I don't know. Maybe we'll dock a ship there. Maybe we'll try to redock the Elegant, because I don't know what was wrong with that docking clamp. I honestly have no idea. It may have been a plug-in part that I neglected to put in, but it should be using standard docking port data from the game, so it shouldn't have not worked, honestly. So I have no idea why it didn't work, and it shouldn't have not worked. But because of that, we may try again, but not right now, of course. As you can see, they're about 15 kilometers away from the two ships, so we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to get these guys out of the way. And then from here, we have to design, and launch a new type of hitchhiker, or at least, not a new type of hitchhiker, but we are going to be bringing some pretty hefty stuff out here, so maybe this hitchhiker will be what we need anyway. But we are also going to be bringing some light stuff out here from Minmus, and as we saw with the last attempt, we barely used even half the fuel in this thing. And so the return on investment of having that much fuel is not really that great, in all honesty. And I think we may have actually crossed the Terminator, did we? Yep, we did. Alright, that's good. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and kill that. So there we go. We are all done here. So these are all going to pile onto the surface. Not really in the same place. Maybe close, but, you know, they're just going to crash down to the surface, and we're not going to worry too much about that. But I'm going to go ahead and cut here, and we're going to head to the VAB. I think I'm going to head to the VAB and put together what I hope to be a functional ship. And I also have to check on our launch platforms and everything to make sure that the ones that we're going to be sending from Minmus, to make sure they're all correctly built and whatnot. And then from there, we're going to head up to Minmus and send all the plans up there and get things launched. So I will see you guys, most likely I'll see you guys on the Minmus base at Proteus. So I will see you guys there. Alright everyone, as you can see we are here at the Proteus with a second Proteus, yes! And we have a multi-purpose launch platform this time. Instead of having one with a hitchhiker and then everything else above it, this sort of serves as a hitchhiker slash launch vehicle. And I'm hoping with the numbers that I saw that we'll be able to get to Duna and to Ike and then land. Now, that of course is dependent on whether or not this fuel tank gets drained. I'm hoping it doesn't. That's our landing tank, so no, it can't be drained. Now, the only downside to this is when I was filling everything up, unfortunately, this tank did get some oxygen and kethane in it, and because oxygen has to be used and cannot be burned or expelled, we may be off-center, and that might be an issue. But we do have to attempt to launch, so we're going to do that. We're going to turn on our SAS, what's our thrust to rate ratio? I calculated it, or I used Kerbal Engineer, and it said it was supposed to be about 3. 4.18 apparently, according to MechJeb. But MechJeb is having trouble calculating. Both MechJeb and Kerbal Engineer have trouble calculating the delta V because these 4 engines. I don't know what it is about these engines, but it calculates like these engines are on even when they're not, and so the calculations are in fact off. But I took these engines off to check the actual calculations, and we have enough fuel and thrust to weight ratio. So we have a thrust to weight ratio, excuse me, of about 4. Now, provided we're not too off center, we should be able to fly up, get into orbit, and then fly out to Duna without too much difficulty. And of course, we can do that out here. I think we have to go up to 60 kilometers to do that. So that is how high we're going to go, is we're going to go to 60 kilometers, because then that is of course how we get our little angle of attack here for Duna, is to get up to 60 kilometers. And again, we're not taking any crew with us. There's not enough oxygen. Well, I guess there kind of is now because this tank is full, but we only have Lothfar and M9 up here, and they're still manning the Proteus, being pretty awesome. But this is going to be the first thing we send, I suppose, and it's all going to be mechanical, and then we will crew it as necessary in the future. But for now, it's just going to be Lothfar and F9 here on Proteus, and then the Proteus 2 is going to be going up into space. I just called it the Proteus 2. We should think of a new name for it once we get it landed, but I should stop wasting time because I'm really nervous and just launch. So here we go. Okay, throttle up. Throttle up more. A little more? Okay, so not great. Now it is saying that our fuel is low because it is looking at these, I think it's over here. It is looking at, where is it? These fuel tanks, which are empty. So that one's going to kind of lie to us a little bit, but with a thrust to weight ratio of 3, I'm kind of nervous here. But we do have docking ports, because if all we can do is get into orbit, fine. But let's go ahead and roll over. Oh, this thing does not want to turn. That thing doesn't. That engine does not have thrust vectoring capability, and our engine doesn't have thrust vectoring, and all we have for torque is this up here. And I thought about adding a torque emitter or an SAS unit down here, but I just didn't bother, so that was my bad. Our orbit's not going to be perfect, of course, because we are in fact going to be off center of the orbit to. I guess we could like turn. No, we're not going to bother turning our orbit. We're just going to go straight east-ish, or no, yeah, east-ish. East-ish on Minmus is what we're going to do. So we're just going to curve over and do our best. This rocket's really slow, but it's really, really, really efficient. So hopefully we will have enough fuel to get to where we need to go. And we want to get up to 60 kilometers for our apoapsis, so we will do that. Our thrust to rate ratio will also go up as we burn down, because these outer tanks are all being used simultaneously. It's not an asparagus system per se, it's just a straight burn. It's a fuse basically, but it's an outward fuse, so we will also be ditching these tanks, which won't really increase our thrust to rate ratio too much, but it'll help just a teeny tiny bit. So I decided to do that as well. So that's one of our design choices on this particular launch platform. And another reason why we're using a mechanical brain system here is because we're using an untested engine, an untested design, and there's a high potential chance that explosions or lost in space may occur. And if either of those two things happen, then I would be very, 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 very sad. So we're doing our best to keep ourselves going up, up, up. We're at 7,000 kilometers, or 7,000 meters, excuse me. I always do that. I always say 7,000, then I say kilometers when kilometers means thousands of meters. So 7 kilometers. Hey, Kerbal Rise! There it is. We got Kerbal Rise on the horizon there. Hi, Kerbal. We haven't seen Kerbal in a while, have we? Like 2 or 3 videos have gone by, and I mean, I've been on Kerbal doing editing and whatnot on these designs, but you guys haven't seen Kerbal at all, really. And that's really interesting that once you get these extra planetary launch pads out there, you can do this kind of stuff. You can launch vehicles with these kind of engines and get them out there and everything, and that is really wicked. So because we don't have an atmosphere, and we don't have to worry about atmospheric drag and burning back in, we can in fact do our gravity turn much, much earlier than normal. And it looks like our apoapsis is up to 20 kilometers already. So we're going to throttle back just a teeny tiny bit, and we're going to roll our nose over. And I think we'll just kind of burn towards... Hey, there's the moon! We have moonrise now. So we had Kerbal Rise, and now we have moonrise. Isn't that nice? That's a nice view. You don't get that kind of view on Kerbal at all. But we're going to tilt ourselves over, and we're going to try to get to 60 kilometers, and then see what our burn is going to look like on that end of things. Because once we get to 60, that's 60 kilometers on min-miss is when you can go full burn, basically. It's when you can go up to 10 or 100,000 times time speed, or time skip, time warp, whatever you want to call it. And that way we can get doing it in line without too much difficulty. It doesn't look like the ship is uneven now. It's really nice that those tanks, I think they're on the other side. Yeah, those tanks aren't pulling that hard in that direction, which is interesting to know. I didn't want to fill up these tanks with like ore or anything, even though I could have, because I didn't want to off balance like the ship or anything. Whoa, we're at 90 kilometers. Wow, my bad. I wasn't paying attention. Oops. Okay, so 90 kilometers, a little bit of a funky orbit, but as you can see, it is pretty good. Now, what's really great about this is we can just do this, and check this out. We'll just do really quick 57, a little bit more. We'll have an uneven orbit, but that's good enough. And that burn's going to be 16 seconds, apparently, for 34.9 meters per second to get into orbit. That is awesome. Now, of course, we do have to get into position, though. And that's going to take a little bit because, as you can see, I'll turn off the SAS so we can just rotate. But yeah, rotating this big guy, oof, not easy. I do know that these little engines here have thrust vectoring on them, but we will have to use caution on that because once we get through those tanks, because I don't want to use this tank at all if we can help it. Because landing on Minmus was pretty tough, but landing on Ike will be a little bit harder because, of course, the gravity is higher. And we will be aiming for a hole. That's going to be a thing. We'll be aiming for a hole in the ground. I'm thinking that... Ah, there it is. Okay, yeah. There's our burn point. We just have to get right in there. So yeah, if you guys are curious, if you guys are wondering about the extraplanetary launch pad, it absolutely works. It really does work. It's just, I was trying to make it do things that apparently it's not really capable of doing, and that makes it extremely frustrating. Like, more than anything, the parts that it comes with are frustrating on their face. So I had to mod in the new parts, of course, as you guys know. I had to use like Bobcat parts, like the administrative module. I just converted it to a smelting module, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, so the parts unfortunately aren't that great. If you wanted to be kind of cheaty and you know how to mod, you can mod in any parts you want. You can mod in an engine or a decoupler as a smelting unit. You know, it doesn't matter what you put in there. I just wanted to make sure that the parts were realistic, I guess you can say. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves centered, and we're going to quick save. And then we're going to launch. Now that burn's only going to take 16 seconds, and that's pretty wicked. So there goes Minmus, and there goes our Minmus base. A great launch platform. Of course, a great indication of why when they say we need to land a base on the moon and launch stuff towards Mars, why it's a good idea. Initially, it's expensive. Honestly, initially it's expensive. Even getting this stuff up to Minmus was time-consuming and a pain in the butt. And I think that's our satellite going that way. Yeah, it was time-consuming and a pain in the butt, but once you get everything set up, it works wonderfully. Downside being, of course, that by the way, I'm pausing the time so we can readjust our burn node. So yeah, time-consuming and monetarily speaking, extremely expensive, especially for us here on Earth. However, being on the moon, the SOI of the moon and of Kerbal, of Earth and everything else would would absolutely, it would make everything a lot cheaper and easier in the long run. Unfortunately, people do forget that part of that comes from the fact that, well, on the moon you wouldn't have the protection of Earth's atmosphere, so meteor strikes and things like that would become a big problem. There's so many other issues that come into the equation that don't come into the equation here in KSP. Even with the mod in place for there you go. So it wasn't a perfect burn. We're still unstable, but it was good enough. And we'll go ahead and remove that. Now I have to get everything lined up, of course, to get out to Duna. But I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, as I always do. I think I'll even do the burn off camera for you guys, because it's going to take a little while to get into position and then roll everything around. Of course, if anything goes wrong, I will absolutely show you guys, but for the most part, everything seems to be going perfectly alright at this point. And so I'll get us out to Duna, and then as soon as we're about to, I don't know, maybe when we get to Duna or land on Ike, it really depends on how I'm feeling, because the landing's probably going to take a little bit, and it may explode. So probably when we're about ready to land, I'll bring you guys back, and we can Duna stuff, or do Duna stuff, or do Ike stuff near Duna. You know what I mean. So I will see you guys there. Alright everyone, it took a while and almost all of our fuel, and but we did make it to Ike, as you can see. Now we have a burn 106.4 meters per second coming up in 36 minutes, and it should put us down right on top of our landing zone, which is wonderful, minus the fact that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to land this big guy. The reason for that is because hey Duna, as the fuel in this guy has gone down, the shifting of weight in this guy has gone up. So it looks like that oxygen is causing a bit of a pull to one side, which does shift our center of balance. And our center of balance wasn't very good to begin with. Because of that, the ship may lurch forward or backwards when I'm attempting to land, because it is a VTOL style lander. It does land. I did try to balance it as accurately as I could, but I balanced it against empty tanks. That of course makes it a bit of a problem when you're trying to land on a planet with no atmosphere and yada yada yada. So yeah, may not function, may not land correctly, may land, but may land a little hard. So we're going to do 106.4 meter per second burn here, and that's in well, now I suppose a little late, but now okay. Now I did bring up MechJeb's landing coordinates to try to get us as good as we could, or as close as we could, to our landing target. Now, because of the way this thing is, yeah, as you can see, we're a little bit sideways. As you can, we may not land where we want to land. I could tell it to land at target, but MechJeb is acting really weird. Again, it's having trouble calculating because of those 4 engines. Not sure why that is, but I tried to have it do the burn out here, and it started to go all wibbly, so I was like, nope, I'm taking over. So yeah, it's not really that. Oh, we are out of fuel, aren't we? How are we out of fuel? We're out of fuel. We need 24 meters per second burn time for that. How? Yeah, okay. In, and we'll do this best we can, I guess, because it looks like we burned up all of our fuel. Not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. Okay. And we'll do that, and that should give us the 23 some odd meters per second that we need to finish this burn. I hope. So yeah, this fuel tank is not as efficient, or this engine is not as efficient as the smaller one. It does give us a slightly better burn, but since I'm burning off camera, it seems kind of pointless for me to even care about that now that I think about it. So we're probably not going to be using that engine again, because that has suddenly caused us a bit of an issue when it comes to our center of mass and everything else. So let's take a look at our map really quick, see where we're landing. Oh, yeah, I don't know why that's doing that. It's gotta have something to do with the mechanical brain. Okay, looks like we're off by about 2 kilometers. That can't be good. Let's go ahead and see if we can correct. Again, I do apologize for that. It is just a minor glitch in the system. Okay, let's see if we can get this thing down a little bit closer to what we want. 800 meters, 600 meters, 500 meters, 400 meters. You know, I'm okay with 300 meters, honestly. 200. Okay, 200 meters off is fine. I can live with that. I hope you guys can live with that too. Now we will be. Yeah, we burned a little bit of fuel. Now, we do just have to ditch this little guy, so let's go ahead and get rid of him. He's no longer useful to us, so thank you for your help, but goodbye. Alright, so there's that. Let's activate these 4 engines. Boom. Let's stage. Wow, okay. I gotta remember, that's not our maximum fuel. That's just the fuel because of these. That's just the fuel because of these. Alright. Now, we're gonna put our gear down, and... why do you... No, don't redock. Wow, really? Okay, there you go, guys. A little bit of a docking issue there where the other ship decided that it wanted to redock with us. That's not good. Let's see if we can get keep that from happening again, because I'd hate for that to happen when we're trying to land this guy. Now, we are going to be crash landing per se. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. We are going to be sort of crash landing a little bit. Not sure how this is going to work. I don't know where our center of mass is, but we're going to quick save because now it's too late to stop ourselves. Okay. So we'll be landing, crashing, crash landing 300 meters from our target. Ooh, I hope it's 300 meters in the right direction. Okay, that's not where I thought we would be. Where is it? I put the coordinates. Now, just so you guys know, I did use MacJev here for landing guidance, and I put the coordinates roughly where see, the Humble is supposed to be at 24 by 4, and I put our landing coordinates 24 by 4 roughly, so I don't know, we may be way off. We have to trust it, you know, I have to trust it. I don't want to trust it, but we have to trust it. We also don't have any way to control this by a certain area, like can't control it. Oof, this is going to be tough. I should have thought about this better. Okay, we'll do what we can. Worst comes to worst, we smash into the dirt, and then we have to do it all over again. If that's the case, I may do it all off camera, just for safety purposes. But I'm hoping for good things here. I'm also trying to hoping that we can get our nose pointed in the right direction like that. All right, there we go. Best I can do, I suppose, given the circumstances. Okay, so here we go. Oh, we are going to land very short. Very, 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 very short of our goal. Can we bump the engine? Why is our 5th engine? What is that 5th? Oh, I know what that 5th engine is. Okay, never mind. I know what that 5th engine is. Would like to just... Whoa, we are very, very, very not happy with that right now. Okay, yeah. She does not want to fly straight. Okay, okay, okay. Come on. Come on. Come on, you can do it. I know you can. Am I even going? I am not going. Oh, wow. Wow, she does not want to fly straight at all. Okay, so because of a bit of a balance issue and a lot of other things, we may end up dead. That's why we don't bring Kerbals along on missions like this. Alright, throttle up, throttle up, throttle up, throttle up, throttle up, throttle up. Okay, yeah, she wants to roll over. So, we've discovered we've discovered a bit of an issue with this ship and this design and this, goodbye everybody. Crunch. Annoying, yeah. Annoying, to say the least. It looks like the Proteus 2 debris has gone into orbit. Oof. Okay, so some design flaws with that one. Balance, major issue. Lack of control, major, major, major issue. And fuel consumption, super major issue. So, gonna have to come up with an absolutely new design. And hopefully we'll have enough Kethane and ore on Minmus to do what we need to do. But I think we're going to go ahead and pause here. I don't know how long the video has been with all the stuff that we've done. Probably not very long at all, unfortunately. But I don't think it'd be very prudent to bring another ship out here, because without a new design, to do so would be a complete waste, unfortunately. So I think I'm going to get set up a new design for a new hitchhiker, a better one. That one for a launch platform worked okay. Yeah. That one worked okay, but not very great. And then the lander is not good. And I think we'll just need to redesign the lander as a whole. I think is how that's going to happen. And I have no idea how that's going to work. I got a few ideas in my head, but I don't want to change the parts that I'm using. But even the parts that I'm using now are not very functional, So I'll look up some other designs, and maybe you guys can help me out. But it's going to take a little while. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here. So once again, I'd like to thank you all very much for joining me, 4KB Short, on this Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program and Kerbal Space Adventures, and I will see you next video.